Welcome back. We are back with Making the Case. Shout out to my man Clayton Crawley. Making the Case, the 0-1 Lakers. It's been a while since we have done a Making the Case. So sorry about that. It's been a minute. If you guys haven't seen my Larry Birds, Tim Duncan's, Michael Jordan's, it should be under the NBA playlist on my channel, so go and check that out. But we're back with Making the Case, the 2001 Lakers. I think they did win a championship this year. I think they lost like one or two playoff games the whole time. So we are finna react to it. We are finna see what's talking about. We are finna see some notable players. Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. Shaq, Horace Grant, Derek Fisher, Robert Horry, Isaiah Ryder, and much, much more. But without further ado, let's go get into it. Don't forget to like, sub, comment, share. Enjoy it. That's 5. Enjoy the video. Let's go and get started.
What's the goal of basketball? To win, right? But not just to win individual games. The ultimate goal is to win a championship. Of course, basketball is a team sport. Championships are won by the most complete, most inspired team. Every champion deserves credit. The question on my mind is, who's the greatest team of all time?
Look at Knicks team. Legends.
With apologies to Bill and Wilt, I have a list of 8 teams since 1970 that I want to look at as having a claim to that distinction. It is a loaded question, and one that I ultimately can't answer. Is it the teams that were front runners from beginning to end? The ones who were unbeatable at their peak? Maybe the ones who tapped into something special and overcame countless obstacles? There is no right answer. It's your job to make your own call. And it's my job to make the case. So today, I'll be making the case for the 2001 Los Angeles Lakers as the greatest basketball team of all time.
Studs, Kobe and Shaq, baby. One of the greatest duos of all time.
Here's what you need to know right away. The Lakers went 56-26 in the regular season and 15-1 in the playoffs.
So 56-26. Yeah, they lost one game in the playoffs. I think that was against AI. I think that was against Allen Iverson. That is freaking crazy. They shot 34% from 3. 23rd opponents points began 23rd points. They almost scored 100 points. Defensive ratings first. So defensively, they wasn't that great. I mean, they was
playoffs.
They
were captained by Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant, rounded out their roster with several fantastic two-way players, and were coached by Phil Jackson.
Look at that.
Uh-oh. Did you hear that?
What?
I'm in trouble, because that was the sound of a very big red flag going up. 56-26? That's the record of a pretty good team.
That's right.
Not the record of a team in contention for the greatest team of all time. Over the last 40 years, excluding lockout seasons, only 3 other champions won fewer regular season games. We're like 2 minutes into the video, and I already have my work cut out for me. What the hell happened, and how on earth is this team even in this conversation?
That's a good question.
What the hell happened? The short answer is a lack of identity, poor defensive discipline, complacency, injuries, and
I don't think they beat Philly this year. I think it was either Philly or the Pacers. But I think this year's team did beat Philly. I think it's the team that beat Philly. Because the 3-peat team beat the New Jersey Nets, the Pacers, and Philly. If I'm correct.
Most famous power struggle between 2 teammates in league history. How are they in this conversation? The short answer is because Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal represent the best, most unguardable, unstoppable, unbeatable 1-2 combination in the history of the NBA. The long answer is all of that, except, I talk about it more. First, let's frame this team.
Like a big man Shaq.
This Lakers team was smack dab in the middle of what would end up being 3 consecutive championship seasons, a feat no other franchise has been able to accomplish since. In 2000, the Lakers won 67 regular season games on their way to their first championship since 1988. Shaq was one vote away from being named the first unanimous regular season MVP and added the finals MVP at the end of the year to cap off his ascension to basketball's throne.
So who took the other
Kobe,
vote?
at age 21, was already emerging as one of the premier perimeter players in the game. His well-rounded skill set and approach to the game made him the consensus heir apparent to none other than Michael Jordan.
That's right.
He was a critical part of the team's makeup and was already on the fast track to basketball immortality. Following the championship, Shaq took time to rehab and rest his body at Phil Jackson's direction. And, in what should come as no surprise to anyone in hindsight, Kobe conversely spent countless hours in the gym, honing his skills, determined to fulfill his own goals of hoops supremacy. By the time the team reconvened for training camp, tensions immediately arose between the two superstars and their different approaches to the offseason. Kobe was frustrated seeing Shaq return out of shape after just having had the best season of his career, while Shaq was frustrated with the young shooting guard presuming to be in a position to criticize him following a championship season. And it makes sense from both sides.
Yeah,
on the one hand, you have
I
Kobe,
agree.
the
Both
patron
sides.
saint of the perfectionist and determined, someone for whom
I agree with Kobe. You know what I mean? Like, we're trying to win a game. I mean, you are showing up fat as fuck. You know, you show up fat as shit. Dude, get your butt in shape. We trying to win another one. Like, but Shaq's probably like, young buck, don't tell me what to do.
whom effort
But
and
that's how
diligence
Shaq
was
is, though.
second nature.
But I
He
agree
had
with
just
Kobe.
labored all summer because he was coming into his own and was ready to assume the mantle of superstar. Why wouldn't he be frustrated seeing someone fail to meet his own tenacious work ethic, let alone his partner in crime, the reigning league and finals MVP? On the other hand, imagine the situation from Shaq's perspective. Here's a guy who was 7'1" and 320 pounds of speed, power, touch, nimbleness, and explosiveness. He was truly an anomaly of human anatomy. He'd been the best and biggest guy on every team he'd ever played on.
That's
forged
right.
against the
Golly.
Hakeems and the Ewings and the Robinsons. He'd been exerting himself and taking a physical toll for years, and he finally had a ring to show for it. Why wouldn't he take some well-deserved time off? He'd earned it. And if you believe Phil, he did what he was told to do. And now he comes back, and this youngster is telling him that he should be working harder? Throughout the season, these disparate attitudes failed to consistently produce wins on the court. You hear all the time about the alpha dog trope that a pair of great teammates face. From Wilt Chamberlain and Jerry West, to LeBron and Dwayne Wade, to Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. These chance pairings always come with the baggage of who's in charge here.
Right.
Who's the one who's supposed
Right.
to get the last shot?
Facts.
Whose team is it? And this team took that trope to new levels. Kobe had developed into perhaps the league's most complete player and was eager to prove that he could, and perhaps should, be the player leading the Los Angeles Lakers. At the same time, some of the warts of Kobe's hero ball tendencies came to light as he truly believed that the team was in the best position to succeed
Damn.
when he was the one with the ball in his hand taking the most shots. Shaq, of course, resented the fact that coming off the
That's-
heels of his most successful
dominant
season,
what
he
he
was
did to David
already being
Robinson.
challenged by his young teammate. The rest of the team, meanwhile, was caught in this maelstrom of egos, unable to find a playstyle or approach that could appease both stars and produce winning results. Even Phil Jackson, who would retire as the most decorated basketball coach to ever live, struggled to amicably settle the dispute. Jackson, long known throughout the league as the Zen Master for his philosophical and holistic approach to coaching, couldn't find a way to foster the same synergy that the Lakers had ridden to a championship just months prior. Jackson believed that the success of the team is predicated on the sacrifice of the individual. It's a trite cliche for organizations to talk about a team-first philosophy, but it's an idea rooted in truth.
Listen, boys and girls, there's no I in team.
Galvanize this team, Kobe would have to accept that despite his tremendous abilities as an individual, this team couldn't reach its full potential if he took every shot. At the same time, Shaq needed to accept that Kobe was ready to be a more integral part of this team, which would indeed merit him more credit in their victories. As the season continued, this rift only grew deeper. The two were constantly at odds on the court and trading barbs through the media off of it. Through sheer talent, the team was still competitive in most of their games and near the top of the standings, But it seemed to many that they were on a collision course of self-destruction.
Yeah.
In
Which
fact,
happened,
it
though.
soon
It did
became a
happen.
foregone conclusion to many members of the media that a trade was inevitable, that the feud was irreparable, and that the Lakers were better off cutting bait and acquiring assets for one of their stars. You would hear quotes from Bryant saying, "Turn my game down? I need to turn it up. I've improved. How are you going to bottle me up? I'd be better off playing someplace else." You'd hear Shaq say something like,
When everything went through me, the outcome was good. It was 67-15, playing with enthusiasm. The city was jumping up and down. We had a parade and everything. And now we're 23-11, so you figure it out.
and because of this draining situation in the locker room, LA simply wouldn't put the effort in on most nights to effectively defend, leading to one of the worst defenses in the league.
Golly.
Shaq also presented a problem with his notoriously poor free throw shooting. Shooting just 51% from the stripe, Shaq was the major culprit in making the Lakers the worst free throw shooter.
Just imagine if Shaq could hit like 65% of his free throws, 70. Like if Shaq was like a 65, same percent career free throw shooter, man,
shooting team
man.
in the league. On top of it all, Shaq and Kobe combined to miss 22 games, Ron Harper missed substantial time due to knee injury, and, perhaps most importantly, Derek Fisher missed the first 62 games of the season with a broken foot.
Dang, I didn't
Derek
know that.
Fisher, the team's backup point guard, who hadn't started a single playoff game the year prior,
Oh, yeah, because
returned
Ty
to
Lue
the court
started.
on March 13th, and with him brought the fire back to Los Angeles.
Because Ty Lue started
Instantly
that thing.
inserted into the starting lineup, Fisher came back with a hot hand, which helped space the floor for other shooters, and most importantly for Shaq. He brought a new defensive energy that would eventually encourage the team and shore up their biggest weakness. And most importantly, he brought stability. By the time he retired, Derek Fisher had set the record for most playoff games played in an NBA career. What's more, Derek Fisher was never the most important player or top scorer on any of those teams.
Facts.
That's just not what he brought to the table. But it's no mistake that he found himself on so many playoff teams in so many playoff games. Teams were, almost without exception, better with Derek Fisher on the roster.
I think, I don't really say this or see this a lot, but I think Derek Fisher was a very, very key part for the Laker teams. That he wasn't going to give you 25, but his energy, his clutch threes, defensive intensity, all of that. Just his presence there, just that leader, you know what I mean? Just that extra voice. And Clayton mentioned it, how, when they came back, everything just felt better, looked better, feel better.
He had a feel for the game that went beyond makes and misses. When and how to feed Shaq. When and why to let Kobe operate. And when and how to get the ball to the rest of the Lakers and make this group of talented players a team. In the 20 regular season games that Fisher played, the Lakers went 15-5 and finished the regular season with an 8-game win streak, their longest all season.
Derek Fisher's full.
And in this late season confluence of events, the final piece fell into place. As Fisher returned from injury, Kobe fell victim to it. He missed 11 of the team's last 21 games. And in those games, the Lakers went 8-3. During that time on the bench, Kobe saw the success that the team was having without him, one of the best players in all of basketball. With Fisher at the helm, the Lakers flowed on offense and seemed energized on defense. You wouldn't say that they were better without
Is Kobe the issue?
but they were playing their best basketball of the season without him. If I had to guess, I would venture to say that at some point, maybe not overtly, maybe not all at once, but at some point, Kobe and Shaq decided to meet each other halfway. By now, it was clear that the worst thing about the team was the relationship between these two.
Now we're 23-11. You figure it out.
But it was also obvious that the best thing about this team was these two. Remember this?
Classic.
Somehow, they struck some kind of accord. Kobe would take a small step back, but Shaq would concede some of the spotlight. Kobe didn't resign to be Robin. Instead, he would be the Batman to Shaq's Superman. I told you it was a long story. Somehow, despite their underwhelming record and their foibles and their squabbling, they were better. They'd evolved. Shaq had played himself into shape and was bringing the pain every night.
Point
Kobe
guard
had
Shaq.
improved in nearly every aspect of his game. They had the swagger of a winner and the confidence of a champion. They were better than everybody by a ludicrous margin. In all of their playoff games in the Western Conference, they did not lose. Not one game. 3 straight sweeps, 11 straight wins to go back to the finals.
That's crazy.
The combination of Shaq and Kobe was
That's
apocryphal
crazy.
for other teams. In back-to-back,
But if I'm correct, didn't we see that with the Warriors? Oh my, this stat line. But I think we seen that with the Warriors a couple of years ago when they had Durant. I think they started off like, to sweep it through the playoffs. But I think they lost to, I want to say Utah, which ended their streak. But 44 points, 21 rebounds, 7 blocks.
games
Holy
against the Kings,
holy
Shaq
crap.
put up 44 and 43 points to take a 2-0 lead. Kobe then took center stage and put up 36 and 48 points to put Sacramento on ice. And that's the way it went throughout the playoffs. They beat the Spurs, who had home court and the best record in the league, by 14, 7, 39, and 29 points, respectively. It was an absolute thrashing. Kobe had his best series thus far and helped send the Lakers to their second consecutive finals. Chick Hearn, the quintessential Lakers play-by-play broadcaster since 1961, who coined terms like slam dunk, airball, and triple-double, said this.
There's no team in Laker history ever played at a higher level of perfection than this team is doing.
Matched up against league MVP Allen Iverson's Philadelphia 76ers in the finals, the Lakers stumbled for their first and only time, thanks to Iverson's heroic performance in Game 1. The Lakers responded with 4 consecutive wins to capture their second title in as many years. It wasn't a super dramatic conclusion. Even though some of the games were close, it ended up being a 5-game series. But sometimes, being the best isn't about the dramatic 7-game thrillers or the narrow victories. Sometimes it's just about kicking ass. And the Lakers kicked some ass.
Yeah.
They went 15-1 through the playoffs, as close to a clean sweep as any team has ever gotten. They faced stiff competition, becoming just the second team in history to defeat 4 straight 50-win teams. And they posted the highest net rating of any postseason team ever. How? Because they had Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal playing together at the same time on the same team. I don't feel like I've talked enough about what it meant to have 2001 Shaq. With a 7'7" wingspan, he was the most physically dominant player to ever step onto a basketball court outside of a Wilt Chamberlain.
Facts.
The guy literally changed the way they make NBA baskets. In the finals, against Dikembe Mutombo, who had just won his 4th Defensive Player of the Year award, Shaq put up the spectacular stat line of 33 points, 15.8 rebounds, 4.8 assists, and 3.4 blocks, en route to his 2nd straight Finals MVP award. He had soft touch on his jump hooks, underrated abilities as a passer, the explosiveness to go over any defender, and the maneuverability to get around any player his size. Defensively, he wasn't Bill Russell or Hakeem Olajuwon, but he was good enough to be a second-team all-defensive selection and loomed as one of basketball's most intimidating forces in the paint. He was the linchpin to this Lakers dynasty. Since its inception in 1969, 2 players have won 3 consecutive Finals MVP awards. One is Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
The other is Shaquille O'Neal.
That's my elite company.
Few players in this game's history
Elite
have come
company.
close to matching the level of peak Shaquille O'Neal. Think you can stop him? Well, then have fun guarding Kobe Bryant. You know, the closest thing to Michael Jordan that there's ever been. In 2001, Kobe hadn't yet extended his range effectively beyond the three-point arc. But he was still one of the best shot makers in the business. He had flawless body control, the ability to shower you with an array of shots from damn near anywhere, a ceaseless motor on both ends of the court, and world-class athleticism.
Damn.
He was scintillating in the playoffs and averaged 29, 7, and 6, leading the Lakers in postseason passing.
That's impressive.
So, can you stop?
Bro, imagine having to guard 2 players who are damn near averaging about 30 points per game each.
Shaq? Can you stop Kobe?
No.
Can you stop them both? Probably not. But even if you can, you now have to contend with a fantasy roster full of two-way beasts. You've got Derek Fisher, a double-digit scorer, offensive maestro, and defensive pest. Rick Fox, who also averaged in the double digits, shot 39% from 3 in the regular season, and who was capable of locking down top scorers like Peja Stojakovic. Plus, top shelf playoff veterans like Ron Harper, Horace Grant, Brian Shaw, and the X factor of every team he's ever been on, Robert Horry. With those players, could the
Big
Lakers
shot.
have played today? With a couple of tweaks, absolutely. If the three-point shot rules the day, they can keep up. In the playoffs, the Lakers shot the exact same percentage from 3 that the 2017 Warriors shot.
I didn't know
They
that.
have the perfect swingman to switch on defense and enough star power to compete with any team that's come since. I mean, man, wouldn't you love to see a team try to play small ball against Shaq? I mean, it's really that simple. You can't stop Shaq, and even if you could, how many...
Oh my God. I'm just thinking about it now. Imagine. Let me think. Okay. Imagine Dallas putting Porzingis at the 5, Dorian Finney-Smith at the 4, Luka, Jalen Brunson. And imagine Shaq, prime Shaq imagine Porzingis having to guard 0-1 Shaq. Yes, Porzingis 7'3", he's taller, but oh my God. All I gotta say is barbecue chicken.
many other teams in history can tote out another first ballot, first teamer, all-timer, two-way dynamo in their athletic prime as the sidekick? They're the best 1-2 punch to ever play on the same team at the same time. So, let's say you focus all your attention and energy neutralizing the two of them. Can you stop all of those role players? And do you think you can do it all while out coaching Phil Jackson? Pick your poison. It doesn't matter what you decide. You're not making it out of there alive. They weren't the best start-to-finish team ever.
Right.
If that's your thing, your 1972 Dolphins jersey is in the mail. But when they were at their best, when it came time to win, with stakes on the table, you could not beat this team. They were too good at too many things from top to bottom. Other pairings won more championships together. Other teammates dominated their eras for longer periods of time. But I maintain that no two teammates, as an overall pairing of destructive forces at both ends of the court, were better than Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant in the playoffs of 2001. The Venn diagram of these two talents overlapped in a way and on a level that has no equal. And that's the enduring legacy of this Lakers team. The yin and yang of conflict and victory.
Right.
You're gonna get the squabbling and the feuding and the power struggle. It's a byproduct of their talent and of how different these two men were on so many levels. But they realized time and time again that theirs was an unstoppable partnership. They put the pettiness aside, bought into the team and to each other, and won over and over and over again. They didn't win 7 championships together. Instead, they ushered in a new Lakers dynasty, the most unstoppable duo ever, and in 2001, the greatest basketball team of all time.
Wow. Hey. Y'all let me know what y'all think, man. Is this the greatest team of all time? The greatest duo of all time? Y'all let me know what y'all think. Don't forget to like and sub, comment down below, guys. Thoughts and reactions to this. Making the case. 0-1 Lakers. I'll see you guys later.